Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's our early bird special on August 9th, 2025. And of course, I'm joined by my partner, Elijah Weintraub. Eli, how you doing this week?
Good morning, Jim. I'm doing pretty good. It was a good week here. You missed some earthquakes here in Jersey while you're on vacation on Saturday and Tuesday. I don't know if you all felt it. I sure did. But we had earthquakes. We had great weather, as you will say, besides the earthquakes.
Yeah,
And now even more better weather and more sports to talk about. And we
yeah.
kick things off, as always, with the monologue sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. And that's all yours, Jim.
Okay. So, I think I mentioned it before, but I've been reading this book called The Dynasty by Jeff Benedict,
Yeah.
and I'm really I just about almost finished with it, and I did a lot of reading, and it really is remarkable. And the reason I'm bringing it up now is because there was kind of a presentation yesterday, which we'll get to in a little bit. But it's really remarkable the dynamic between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, the owner. And um, like I said, a lot of people have different feelings, and I guess maybe I'm guilty of it too. Like maybe he was over exposed from a media perspective, but I'm telling you something from a commitment perspective, from the day he was drafted out of Michigan, um, and he had Drew Bledsoe got hurt, and that's what opened the door for Tom Brady to have, maybe the greatest career ever as a
Right.
NFL quarterback. But I was really impressed by the commitment that this guy had. He was, the old saying, first in the office, last to leave, and that was Tom Brady. And he really did take his job as serious as any NFL player I could possibly remember. And it really was amazing. And, him and Bill Belichick weren't exactly off the field buddies and so forth. And Belichick himself was a very unique individual. And, he wasn't shy about trading or cutting some of his best players. In a couple of instances, they were captains of the team and whatnot. So, what's really remarkable about Brady's career is that, he won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, and they were a lot different teams, from one season to the next, and yet he continued to win. Yes, there was a little drought, in between, the second Super Bowl and the third, almost 10 years. But you know what? They made it back to the championship game like 6 times and so forth. And he went head to head with Peyton Manning, who was the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks of all time as well. And Brady beat him, most of the time. But it really is remarkable the commitment level that this guy showed, and remarkable itself is his health, and a lot of that can be attributed to his off the field training and so forth, which was
Absolutely.
opened up. Eli, there was a lot of, you know, um, certainly with Bill Belichick. He started this company TB12 with
Right.
his personal trainer and so forth, and but I just can't. Whether you like him as a person or not, or whether he's overexposed or not, you just cannot do anything but marvel at the commitment level that this guy showed. And remarkable how healthy he was throughout his career. And, so the reason I bring this up is because, excuse me, also, yesterday they unveiled the
The
Tom
statue.
Brady statue at Foxborough. And
Yeah.
if there's anybody that ever deserved the
Statue. It's him for sure.
it really was remarkable. It's a great read. Excuse me, a little bug here, but it really is just a remarkable story of a guy that kind of came out of nowhere. And yeah, circumstances with Bledsoe's injuries actually threw him right into the mix. But the command that he had, the respect that he had for, from all of his teammates, and they just really, and I think probably the most memorable, performance of him was against the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl.
Right.
They were down 28-3, And even
What overtime? First overtime ever.
right, but some of the dialogue, between Robert Kraft and his son Jonathan in the booth saying, wow, this is, you know, and Robert Kraft looks at his son and says, can we do this? Can we come back? And, it was like, yeah, I guess we could, but it's 28-3, with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And yet he did. He rallied them back in one of the most incredible comebacks in NFL Super Bowl history. And you got to marvel at this guy. Like I said, whether you like him or hate him, as a quarterback, you cannot deny that 6 Super Bowls with one team, and then he goes to Tampa at the end of his career and wins another. Just simply remarkable.
He really is one of the greatest players of all time, and you could argue the controversy that he might have off the field with multiple things. But you cannot dismiss that he is the greatest football player of all time that ever walked this earth, for sure. He is a legend. He is a Hall of Famer. He checks off pretty much every box. And you talk about dedication, dedication's in that person. Trying to get there early, late, goes to another team, trying to prove to himself, trying to prove to everybody why he's the greatest. Wins a Super Bowl with that team. It's
Amazing.
truly remarkable. But one player I'd want to bring up that really was the star to help Tom Brady in his success, Gronkowski. Gronkowski is pretty much with him the entire every step of the way, every Super Bowl pretty much. It was pretty much Gronkowski and Brady, and those were the two duos that won the Super Bowls together. Tampa Bay, they won that Super Bowl. Multiple Super Bowls and Patriots, they won it. And those two were the dynamic duo. And if they were Hall of Famers, those two are definitely Hall of Famers.
Well, if
In my
you
book.
if you look at the career though, like you take it, Gronkowski wasn't there for the first couple of Super Bowls,
Right,
and then he got drafted, and of course, when they drafted Gronkowski, they also drafted Aaron Hernandez, and we know what happened with that situation.
right,
So it was really um, so impressive that the cast of characters changed from year to year to year. And then Gronkowski came on, and he was injured a lot as well. But yet, when he was injured, Brady still won. And it,
right.
it really, yeah, great dynamic duo, those two. But he was a successful quarterback even before Rob Gronkowski got there. Crazy.
Fair enough.
Right. Amazing.
Well, I think with that, let's segue right into the NFL. And we
Yep.
have a lot to talk about there. But first, I want to start off with the big incident that happened in last night's game with the Lions and the Falcons. Last night, Maurice Norris was carted off the field in another horrifying and scary incident.
Yep.
The players voted unanimously to let the remainder of the fourth quarter clock wind down and suspended the game as it was. According to the Lions, Maurice is in stable condition and has a feeling and movement in his extremities. He is currently being treated and will remain overnight at Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta. And we are praying for all the best there. And another scary incident once more in the NFL, resulting in a game being ended. We happened before with It happened before with Hamlin, just a couple years ago with the Bills, and now once again last night in a preseason game. A scary incident for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I saw the post game press conference with Dan Campbell, who's a very emotional coach, and so yeah, it looks like things are going to be okay with him. But yeah, certainly was a scary incident, and it's just a preseason game, so they called the rest of the game off. But
Right,
yeah,
but I think
this is contact sport, and injuries like this are going to happen. But
right.
when they do happen, it's kind of a reality check to say what's more important, the person or the game. And in this
Right,
case,
and I think going forward, we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. If these incidents continue to happen, this is the second time, as you will, that a carted off incident like this happened. We saw this with Damar Hamlin, and I won't be surprised if these incidents do keep happening again. They're going to just keep on suspending the games or postpone the game to another time, and that's how it's
mhm,
going to just be the reality here. Because as a player, and even as a fan too, if I was on that field as a player or whatever the case was, and I see that incident happen, I wouldn't want to play. I would feel bad for my teammate or
right.
my enemy teammate, as you will, because they're one of us. That could be you. That's how I view it, and I would suspend that game as well in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and
That's
if you
how I
think
view.
back, I mean, there have been instances, Dennis Bird and guys like that, and who's the Rutgers kid, Eric? Uh,
Yeah,
I keep
Eric.
forgetting his. Yeah, but
Yeah,
So this kind of stuff does happen, unfortunately, but thankfully it's kind of rare. But it will happen. But let's hope this Maurice Norris is going to be okay.
Yeah. Another injury news that happened this week as well. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson suffered a finger injury in Thursday's preseason game, which meant Daniel Jones got a start for the preseason for the Colts. He will be okay and will be back to the game very soon, but I don't know. The Colts just should be concerned about Anthony Richardson getting hurt every 2 seconds. I mean, it
Yep.
was a lot last year, and now it's a preseason game. It's a finger injury. I mean,
Yeah. And
what
once
more?
once
The
that
season hasn't even started. It's just preseason, the first week. And
you
that's
know.
another concern I think they got to be concerned of.
And yeah, you're absolutely right that this is kind of becoming a chronic situation for Richardson. I mean, when you look at his physical stature, I mean, he's amazing. Like he's got a body like nobody else. But yeah, you got to stay healthy in this game if you're going to make your mark. And I know Giant fans, myself included, who I was a Daniel Jones supporter for years, didn't have the offensive line and basically took the brunt of it. You can't deny his record, but you look for him to get significant playing time this year. And you know what? I hope he does well because I always thought he was very talented on a
He has
very
potential for sure.
unorthodox.
The question is, does he live up to the Colts' expectations? Will he be better than Richardson? 100%. I think he will, but
Yeah.
it all depends.
And
Oh,
a couple other things on
yeah.
the to be concerned list is with the Rams and Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Now he's been around for a while, and again, I apologize. I have this.
Yeah, sorry. We all got these allergy problems right now,
Yeah,
especially with, I don't
something's
know what's
going
going
on.
on with lately, but yeah.
But yeah, I think the Rams need to be concerned because Stafford is getting up there in age,
Right.
and he's had a history of back and shoulders and things. So this could be a concern. And unfortunately for the Rams, the backup quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo. So I mean,
The
this is gonna
options aren't better. Right.
yeah. So you got to keep an eye on that kind of situation because the Rams, on paper, are a very talented team, but will Stafford be there week
Is
after
the big
week after
question.
week? And I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. They're already
All right.
concerned about it.
If they're already concerned, it's not a good sign.
Yep.
The other story I want to get to this week, there's a couple other stories I want to get to. The NFL has announced that players will be able to use smelling salts. Will be able to use smelling salts during games as long as they bring their own stash. That was
Huh?
the announcement this week. They were originally saying that the players were banning smelling salts. Now they're saying, well, you could use smelling salts, but the players got to bring your own stash. The team can no longer supply it. That is
Okay.
just the weirdest thing in the world, right?
Yeah, I don't even. Didn't hear about it. Don't know about it. But that
Right.
sounds
Yeah.
extremely confusing to me.
The NFL suspended Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison for 3 games after violating the substance of abuse policy.
Yeah.
Once again, another player violating these policies.
And he's a very very talented receiver, teaming him up with Jefferson. But yeah, he seems to be have a lot of off the field issues, which could be a problem going
Yeah.
forward. So sure.
Buccaneers signed quarterback Teddy Bridgewater and the Browns signed Tyler Huntley this week. And a quick reminder note for the games for the Jets and Giants in our area. The Giants are 1 o'clock. They're on NFL Network and NBC4 New York. And the Jets are on WLNY 1055, which is Channel 10 on Verizon, not CBS2 New York because of, I believe, WNBA is on tonight. So
Well,
just keep that in mind. So WLNY 1055 for the Jets game tonight and
mhm.
NFL Network, not Channel 2 CBS. So keep that in mind
Yeah.
here in our New Jersey area.
And there was another kind of a notable injury, Eli. Rashawn Slater from the Chargers, and I think
Right.
he was just signed and was becoming the highest paid offensive lineman in the league, and he
Yeah.
gets and now he's out for the season. So that's a big loss for Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers.
100%. And this Chargers team is a team that is competing for these playoff spots. And this is a team that potentially has potential. And this is not an incident you want to go down that route for sure.
Yeah, so injury bug is already out. So
Yeah, and it
crazy.
already started in preseason week 1. No surprise there.
Yeah, and let's keep an eye on a couple other notes that went on. I mean, The Browns started Shador Sanders last night, who played pretty well, actually.
Yeah,
So
but
again,
again, it all
Tyler
depends on
Huntley,
week one, though,
yeah,
and not preseason. Preseason's nothing. That's how I always view it. You might
right.
be great, but what happens week one? Do you prove everybody wrong?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, the last thing Cleveland needed is another quarterback in camp, but they went out and signed Huntley. So that was an interesting, and of course, probably the biggest hot topic, the
I don't want to
contract
say it.
situation,
Nope.
right?
Nope. I know you're going to go down that route. I know we're going to skip that name.
No, I'm
Oh,
talking
it's a
about
different name.
Micah
Okay.
Parsons.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to mention another name that.
No, we don't talk about him
Oh,
anymore.
okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Michael Parsons. How I looked at it, I've been saying this all week. This is just a game for Dallas. This is just to get media attention. We know he's going to sign with Dallas, and it's
Yep,
just another story that we don't even want to talk about. We know he's going to sign at this point.
yep,
The season's already we're done with week one of preseason after tomorrow.
yep.
He's going to be a Dallas Cowboy, and there's no question about it. I
And
think
he'll
he's just trying to
probably
draw media.
and he'll probably be the highest paid defensive player
No
in the league.
question.
Yeah.
No question.
So again, you're right. This is more of a Jerry Jones trying to keep the Dallas Cowboys in the front of people's minds
Right.
and at the headlines of the paper. But you know what? At some point, you're absolutely right. They're going to get the deal done, and Jerry will say, "Well, we think Mike is a very important part of our team, and going forward, and that kind of stuff." So,
Okay, I love the accent, by the way. Like, been on sketch comedy lately?
yeah. But yeah, so looking at the Giants and so forth, right? On paper, they seem like a more of an improved team. But however, had a nice conversation with a big Giants fan yesterday, and of course, we know based on the schedule because they got a very, very tough schedule, if not
They
the
do.
toughest schedule in the league. So, you know, where is this going to go, and when does Jackson Dart get to come in? So the Giants, if you look on paper, and again, you never ever know because some teams start slow, whatever. But on paper, the team that the first 6, 7 games, they could either be 1-5 or 2-4 or whatever. And if this team really is for real and the defense shows up like we would think is they got a pretty good defense. I'll give them that. But
You're right.
this season could get away very, very easily. And
No question.
so we have to keep an eye on the Giants here in New York, and as well as with the Jets. Is Justin Fields the player that's going to
No, I
turn
mean,
this
we've
team
been saying
around?
this all the time. No, and just like Russell Wilson, he's not. With the Giants side, I don't think that those two are the lifesavers for
Right.
these New York teams, and I can just tell you that for sure.
And we saw that the Jets, they're paying these guys. They're paying Wilson. They're paying Gardner. They're paying, these guys. And, yeah,
Win football games, and then we'll talk. Go to the
yeah,
playoffs, we'll talk. And
right.
then we'll say,
And
okay,
again,
maybe it's worth it. But if you're just going to keep on losing, only get 6 wins a season, and say, all right, we're happy, I'm not happy if I
no,
was a
and
fan.
I'm not even sure who the backup for the Jets is actually behind
Huh.
Fields on the depth chart.
That's a
But
great question, too. I don't know on the top of my head, but
yeah,
yeah,
so like I said, I don't think, but just like you and I have talked, time and time again, Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to lead them to the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers did not lead them to the
right.
Super Bowl. And now you bring in at least, yeah, I think is an improvement. I
Well,
still think Justin Fields has a lot of potential, but I don't know that if you look at the entire scope of the Jets organization, yeah, maybe this, Aaron Glenn brings a different, attitude to the Jets, but he is a first time head coach,
that is true.
former player. So, from a New York
It's a learning
perspective,
experience.
right. So we got to be
But I
prepared to that we're not going to the Super Bowl,
once
New
again,
York, either New York team.
right. But I think if you look at the Rodgers perspective, I think when he first signed with the team, I think there was a little sign like, okay, maybe there's a shot, maybe there's potential. But then the Achilles injury happened. I think then that's when everybody said, you know what? This is not going to be who we think he's going to be. We're not going to have the same
Yep.
success. I think there was hope.
Yep.
And I think I believed in hope too when that time. But I think once that Achilles injury happened, we all saw him go down. We all said, "That's it. This is it. The Jets are not going to have that Super Bowl
And
run like
and
we hoped."
Eli, if you want to compare, right now Rodgers is in his 40s, and compared to Brady, who won Super Bowls in his
You
40s,
can't compare anybody to
there's a big
Brady.
difference
There's no
between.
question.
No, I wanted to bring that. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Um, let's see what else we got in the NFL that we
I think
haven't
that's
talked
it.
about yet.
I think we got to move on to the MLB, I think.
Okay, which is very, very interesting. And
It is
first and
hot right now.
foremost, yeah. So we're in the New York area, right? So we're Yankee
We're
fans
sitting in
and
the
Met
middle.
fans and so forth. And you know where each of those teams were a month ago, and where each of those teams is right now.
It's a
Wow,
shock.
what a difference! I mean, the Yankees seem to be they're over 6.5 games out of first place after leading for most of the division for most
Season.
of the season. And if you look on paper,
But we
yes,
know why, though. Look
well,
at the
there's a
guy that was out for so long and how many games they lost.
yeah, I guess you
And then he
could
comes
point
back
to a
and they still weren't doing that as great as they had hoped.
right. I mean, the Judge hasn't disappointed at all, but when you look at the
No, but
surrounding
but we know the
cast,
injury had a factor into why the Yankees had that losing stretch for a period of time.
right? But now we're seeing things, the high price, trade to get Devin Williams, and he's just been killing the Yankees. He's supposed to be the closer. He's got given up 28 earned runs as a closer, which is
It's a lot.
unprecedented. When he only gave up 26 earned runs in 3 seasons prior to coming to the Yankees. So you could point to that situation. And yeah, they made a couple of little trades with McMahon and so forth, but on paper, they're in trouble. And I always said, well, at least they're going to make the wild card. And now, if you look at the standings, it's crazy. Even the
Right now
Boston Red
they're in
Sox
one,
have
two, three,
taken.
four, five, sixth place. Right above Seattle. Seattle's doing better than them.
Yeah.
Yankees sixth place right now in the American League. The Mets right now are in fifth place, so they are doing a little bit better, as you will, than the Yankees. But even then, it is just an interesting ride right now.
I mean, I think Eli, we knew from a Mets perspective that they were going to be. It's going to be a two-team race in the National League East with Philadelphia,
Well,
and
they're both in sixth.
that's
Sorry.
although let's just give a little bit of credit to Miami, who nobody really expected, and they're almost at 500 and still in the mix.
Yeah,
So they're not out of it, even though it's 9 games. They won't win the division, but there's a possibility for
the
a
wild card.
wild card for them. So we're getting down the stretch, and that's what makes this baseball always so
Now it's
intriguing
exciting to
this
watch
time of the
baseball, that's
year.
for sure. Because now it's the final home stretch. We're about
Right.
what, a month left in the
So if we look
season.
at some of the
Games count.
yeah, a little more, yeah. So let's just stick with the National League, and the best team right now in baseball is the Milwaukee Brewers, first team to
Yeah,
70 wins, and they don't they got some they seem to be although they're only 5 games, but the Cubs and them were neck and neck for a while, and it
yeah.
looks
And
like
now
they're
they've taken the
starting
lead.
to separate. And I know I have one of my friends who's grew up in Wisconsin, big Brewers fan, and he says I've seen this time and time again. The Brewers, they always play well and then get knocked out early in the playoffs. But right now, on paper, 70 wins, only team in baseball with that. And of course, you have the National League West, right? The Dodgers, which based on their all-star caliber lineup, even if they're slumping and Otani doesn't, hit a home run every game, I think they're still the best team in the National League to
Yeah, fair
me.
enough.
Uh, and San Diego is San Diego. They're there. They got a payroll that's almost equivalent to the Dodgers and so forth. And so from a National League perspective, things are still wide open. And when you look at the American League, I mean, obviously the East is going to be, we don't know how that's going to pan out. But you look, like I said, in the Central, Detroit, Cleveland, yeah, they kind of they'll battle it out, but that's really the only two teams in that division. And in the West, Houston, Seattle, they'll battle it out too.
Right.
Texas still in the mix a little bit, but on paper, I don't think they're going to be a formidable team for the division. But Houston year after year, and they made the trade. They get Correa back, so baseball is very interesting.
It
And
is.
yep.
We do have a comment from Diego. He checks in and says good morning and hello. Good morning, Diego. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Cruz. And yes, I wanted to give a shout out because as we know, Eli, coming up next year is the World Cup, and
Yeah.
Diego is our resident soccer expert and invited me to go see Colombia play at Red Bull Stadium in October. I think it's a friendly game
Okay.
with Mexico. I'm not sure if it was Mexico, but you know what? I said absolutely. I'd love to go to that.
And actually, I got to tour Red Bull Stadium. It's a really nice stadium, and it's pretty nice actually.
Yeah, I used to
The
used to
technology
pass
and
it on
everything
the
is really nice.
train every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, baseball for sure is heating up. No
Yeah.
question about it. Just a couple of quick notes on yesterday's game, and this was an interesting fun fact, if you will. The Dodgers played. Who did they play? Was it,
The
Scherzer pitched for? Uh,
I'll double check for you for the Dodgers.
yeah, it was Kershaw versus
Dodgers and the
Scherzer.
Blue Jays.
Yeah, so Scherzer and that. It's the first time ever in baseball history that two starting pitchers faced each other as rookies back in
Wow.
2008, and now all this time later against each other with 3,000 strikeouts each. Isn't that's
Woof.
pretty interesting
What
fact?
a stat that is. That's pretty
Right.
amazing.
But when you look at this again, with the salaries and things like that, and again, we'll just reference Brady as the model for somebody over 40. Scherzer and Verlander,
Yeah.
and I think Kershaw is probably approaching 40. This may be his last year. But these guys, Scherzer and Verlander, making $40 million a year. I mean,
It is crazy, right?
it's nuts. I mean, you at some point,
There's a line to draw to stop.
and it has to be drawn right now because Scherzer, yeah, every now and then he'll come out and give you, a halfway decent outing, but he's not a $40 million pitcher. Is he going to the Hall of Fame with Verlander? Yes. Is he
Yes.
going there with Kershaw? Yeah, he is. But out of those three players, like I said, Kershaw's a little bit younger, but I think he's had an incredible career as well. And, he's not kind of just hanging in there making $40 million and not getting anybody out like Verlander and Scherzer.
Yeah.
Gotta stop. Gotta stop.
Well, I think with that, let's move to the WNBA real quick.
Yep.
Unless you got some more notes.
We're good.
All right, so the WNBA is heating up, and as expected, since the Liberty are on that losing streak, they moved down to second place, standing at a record of 20-10. Minnesota up in front at 26-5. There's been
Yep.
some incidents about throwing stuff onto the court. With the WNBA, they are taking full effect and seriousness into this, and taking FBI action and police action to this. So, whatever you do, if you know the incident that's happening with the WNBA, what's being thrown on the court. Just don't do it if you are at the games end. This is just an annoying situation, and the fans, the players, everybody's not happy about this for sure.
Right.
And finally, you have some great games tonight. A big game tomorrow for Minnesota and New York, a battle of the top two teams tomorrow, 12:30 on ABC. So check that game out tomorrow on ABC. And with that, let's head on to some random points, and that's going to be sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut.
All right, and let me give a little bit of a correction. I think I mentioned Colombia versus Mexico, October 14th. It's actually Colombia versus Canada in the
Colombia versus
friendly game at
Canada.
Red
Okay.
Bull. So,
All right. Well, it's still pretty good.
Right. And yes,
All right.
so let's go. You could start us off with our random points, Eli. Go ahead.
Sounds good. Well, the biggest deal this week that came through was ESPN announcing that they are going to be joining and grouping up with the NFL and NFL Network. The NFL will be getting a 10% equity stake in ESPN, and the NFL will be giving access to a lot of NFL Network to ESPN. The NFL will still produce its shows such as Red Zone and distribute it on NFL Plus, and that won't be touched as we had thought that they would touch it. They're not going to touch Red Zone, which is the great thing. They extend the NFL draft rights, and ESPN will now get to just distribute Red Zone on its as a show on TV and get the name Red Zone. So if they wanted to, we could be seeing very soon college football Red Zone or whatever type of Red Zone we want. So that is amazing about getting the name Red Zone. So that is something pretty cool. The NFL Fantasy Football will merge with ESPN. They get additional games. And of course, the NFL gets a 10% equity stake in ESPN along with the extension of the draft rights. So it is such a pretty cool deal that ESPN signed with NFL Network, but it still has to go through legal and all this other stuff. But it looks promising and pretty good to go through.
And every time, Eli, and you certainly are well versed in the media aspect of the NFL and all those kind of things. And it really is, every time I hear this new deal gets cut, this deal gets cut, all it does is translate to more money that you and I and all of our listeners have to pay.
And speaking about paying, that's a great time for me to segue into my next point. ESPN announced new deals and new direct-to-consumer app for $29.99. That is in addition to ESPN Plus. Keep that in mind. That's in addition to ESPN Plus. I won't get into too much details about the app, but another deal that went through was WWE will be on ESPN and its new direct-to-consumer app starting in 2026 for premium live events for WWE and WrestleMania. Now, some cable companies and platforms have to get to watch WWE without the fee, but expect to pay another fee on top of ESPN Plus. Just prepare for that when it comes through 2026.
Well, let me ask you something. Are people watching the WWE anymore?
Believe it or not, they do. They do watch it. The thing is, are they watching it as much on Peacock? I don't know about that. But when it's on TV, though, they do.
I thought that was just something that nobody watches anymore.
It was a full house the other day when it was at WrestleMania, was at SummerSlam, was at MetLife. MetLife was there last weekend. It was packed. I was seeing the photos, and everybody was actually reposting about it. It was a big thing. It's still popular, believe it or not.
Wow, that's surprising to me. So who is today's Hulk Hogan, if you will?
Great question. I don't watch as much of WWE as I would say, but I would say, right now I know John Cena's on his retirement run, as you will. Cody Bellinger, Cody Bellinger, yeah.
No,
Cody Rhodes.
Never heard of him.
Cody Rhodes, I believe. Am I right? I'm gonna have to Google just to confirm. Yes, Cody Rhodes. There it is.
And the reason I'm asking is because remember in the old well, I know you don't, but
I don't remember, but yeah.
But wrestling back then, there was probably 10 to 15 guys that you could say their names and say, "Oh, he was a wrestler." Today, outside of John Cena, and that's the Hulk Hogan of today. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple other notes. Hulu will soon be fully on Disney Plus by 2026. According to reports, the standalone Hulu app will be discontinued, but not gone, as it will now be on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Luka Doncic has signed a 3-year, $165 million max contract extension with the Lakers with player option through 2028. Crazy stuff that is. The NBA has announced its Christmas schedule. The Cavaliers take on the Knicks, Spurs and the Thunder, Rockets, Lakers, Mavericks, Warriors, and Timberwolves, Nuggets. A couple of games that will be competing along with the NFL's Christmas Day schedule. A couple other notes. Spurs star De'Aaron Fox agrees to a 4-year, $229 million contract extension. In the Little League World Series, World Championship and Series run before it all takes place in Williamsport, Lake Mary, Florida will not be making a return as they had a big upset the other day to South Carolina on a walk-off base hit. Pretty crazy stuff that was.
I know, and it's also new. I mean, being that the Little League World Series year after year is a very popular product.
It really is.
For ESPN. Now they have the Little League Softball World Series.
Yeah, they do.
So whether that's going to take off or not, I don't know.
That will.
because we talk about Little League World Series, and there's always players in the major leagues that have come through that system. And one of the more familiar names is Chris Drury, right? The general
Absolutely.
manager for the Rangers, but he won a College World Series when he was there. So now you have the Little League Girls World Series
Well, that's
softball.
awesome though. That's great.
Okay, yeah, good.
I mean, it's good for the ladies out there to get some coverage time. That's for sure. The
It
final
is.
note I have is, well, if you haven't seen Hamilton on Broadway, it'll be making a theatrical release on September 5th. As we know, the Broadway show with the original cast is on Disney Plus. It'll now be making a release on theaters starting September 5th. I think it's very good in the box office. A lot of people were excited by the news. Lin-Manuel Miranda said the original plan for the original cast when they filmed this was to put it in theaters, but because the COVID happened and everything, they moved it to Disney Plus. But now, since the 10th
Mhm.
anniversary, the original cast, that show, will be live in theaters starting September 5th. Expect that to do very good in the box office. When
Yeah,
it makes
and like I mentioned before, I certainly I read the book Hamilton, written by Ron Chernow. I actually went to see Ron Chernow speak,
yeah,
and you know, the question came up. Somebody asked him about how he felt about Hamilton, and
Lin-Manuel Miranda, yeah.
Lin Manuel Miranda's version of it. And at first he was hesitant, going, "I don't know what you guys are talking about." And then he actually became a consultant and actually helped with the production of Hamilton the Broadway, which has become a phenomenon
It really
itself.
has
But
been one of the best Broadways out there for sure, and now
yeah,
you
but
could see it in theaters starting September 5th with the original cast.
yeah, and I'd never seen it. I think you saw it on.
I've seen it on Broadway, not Broadway, I've seen it on Disney Plus, and I'm gonna
Okay,
definitely go see it once again in theaters because it is really good, and you're gonna see it if you hope you get the chance to see it in September, but, it's really
yep,
good. You gotta check it out.
very good, very good.
Go ahead, Jim, take it away.
All right. So is a name that you did mention before, Rob Gronkowski. He was officially named, and let me full disclosure, I do not watch NFL pregame shows. I can't stand them. It's turned into
We know,
a
yeah.
it's turned into a circus. But Jimmy Johnson, as we know, retired last year. So Rob Gronkowski now moves into Johnson's seat, with Howie Long and these other guys who I can't even watch for a second. Um,
Yes, you can, because you know why? 2 of those anchors are right here in the New York area. One covering Good Morning America, that being Michael Strahan, and Kurt Menefee doing Good Day, New York on Fox 5. So we're used to these guys. Just wanted to say
no,
that. We're from
but
the New
but
York area.
NFL pregame stuff with the guys Bradshaw and
That
Strahan.
could be us though, Jim.
It could be us, but
Is
we
that
would
when you'll
take
watch it?
a more professional approach. This isn't a
Okay.
comedy
But you want
situation.
to make it fun too. You don't want to bore your audience by reading off a teleprompter and telling you stories. You want to show the highlights. You want to get fun.
Yeah,
That's what the whole point of a pregame show is.
that's fair. And listen, on our show, right? We blend in a little comedy once in a while and
Absolutely,
so
all the
forth.
time we do, and we do,
Right,
and
but the main focus of our show is to provide
information.
information and perspective on things happening in the sports world.
That
These
is correct.
guys turn it into a situational comedy, which I can't stand. I just can't stand.
Yeah,
Anyway,
fair enough.
so he moves into the vacated seat on Fox's pregame.
Yeah.
This is an interesting thing, Eli. Jen Powell, first major league female umpire,
Yes,
takes
I
the
saw that.
field.
Yes, I didn't know.
Yep.
I can't believe I missed that on my notes, but yes, I saw
Yep.
that.
And I think it's this weekend, actually.
Yeah,
She's
she had it this. I think Friday was it? I think something like that. But yeah, that was awesome. Good for her though.
absolutely no problem there.
And now the only sport that, believe it or not, does not have a woman umpire referee as you is the NHL.
Hockey. I would have got that if you quizzed me
A
on it.
question, yeah,
And
because
you're
the
right
NFL
about
has
that.
it. They were the first. Then the NBA came along, and
Yeah,
then I think NBA was for something like that, and then now baseball. The only sport is hockey.
yeah.
Which, on the
But
fairness
that,
though, hockey's
yeah,
hard, even
that
for
that's
these.
an interesting thing because you're right. Because the NFL's had female referees for a while. So is the NBA. I'm like kind of surprised. I always thought Major League Baseball would have been the first to have that because it's
Yeah, I
really
don't know.
like a not, I mean, anyway, what all you got to do when you're coaching or umpiring the major leagues is fair, foul, and an occasional is he safe or is he out?
Yeah, all you got to do is just go safe, strike, home
But
run.
good luck
It's
to her though.
really so simple, but in reality, when you get into those fights and arguments, that's when your job gets difficult.
I know you're right. You're
But the simple job
right.
becomes so hard at one point.
And I just have one more random point, and this is more for you since you are a resident WNBA
Yeah,
aficionado. Sandy Brondello, the Liberty head coach, got her 100th career victory, and that's
yeah,
kind of significant, because they have a very short season, if you will, and
right. They do have a
they
short
won a
season,
championship, so 100 games. That's kind of
and
notable, I thought.
I think yeah, and I think she's a phenomenal coach, and I think if Brianna Stewart once again gets back and healthy, and they remain in their top 3 spots, I think they're once again another contender, potentially win the title once again, become back-to-back champions. I know she's a coach that can definitely get it done, and like
Yep,
I said, if you go to a Liberty game, it's something special. We talked about it last week on the monologue. It's the energy is not. It felt like a playoff atmosphere in that game last week when I went. So
yep.
definitely check it out.
All right, I thought that was noticeable. I'm good there on random points. We covered
Well, with
all.
that, let's go to the entertainment photo segment. That's sponsored by Vital Selection. Scan the QR code to learn more.
All right. And I have, yes, absolutely. Vital Selections has been a loyal sponsor of us
Yep.
for months now. So, and here's a movie, and I never actually saw it. And people always tell me, because I'm a movie guy, and they go, "You haven't seen." And the movie I finally did see was True Romance with,
No,
it's
never seen it.
right, but it was Quentin Tarantino. You know
Okay.
him, of course.
Right.
Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, and he wrote but did not direct this. This is one of his first movies that he wrote, and I for years and years and years, and great cast, like a really all-star cast. It was actually, James Gandolfini was in it and so forth, but it was Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette, and it really, if you like Tarantino movies, and these are violent movies kind of thing, but it's Hollywood. This was really as good as people have said all along. And
No
the
question.
funny thing is, just having Netflix and just having Amazon Prime doesn't mean you can pull up any movie anymore. You still have to pay or rent for
I've
movies.
been hearing this that this Red TV on the Fire Stick on Amazon Fire Stick, you can watch like movies for free and stuff. I've been hearing about that. I don't know.
Well, I think if you're paying for Netflix or you're paying for Amazon Prime, you shouldn't have to rent the movie on
No,
that.
you should be able to watch unless it's a brand new movie. That's a different story. But
Right. Of course. But
but
anyway, great
yeah,
movie.
my pick for this week, well, this Friday, 8 o'clock, is the Stand Up to Cancer event. It'll be on all channels, so just keep note of that. That'll be this Friday at 8 o'clock. It's a 1 hour special. My movie recommendation this week is Monsters Incorporated. It's a great movie, and it gives me good luck. And I'm always watching Wazowski with Roz, my favorite part.
Okay. Yeah, I
Uh,
think I might have actually seen Monsters Inc.
and it's pretty good. Monsters Incorporated. All right, here you go. Some photos.
All right, and I got a couple, and just look at the
That is
majestic
awesome.
picture, and that's the Yellowstone River in Yellowstone National Park, and it really is just almost amazing. I mean, just look at the sheer cliffs, and these are all formed from the glaciers, and uh, you know what's beneath the earth, and it carved out this unbelievable view throughout National Park and Yellowstone. It's amazing. It really is just spectacular. And those are the mutts that I was there with, and Eli and I were talking. These are guys that I went to college with, and 100 years later, we still got a chance to get together and spend some time. And we went there and did some fly fishing in the Snake River, and it was just a spectacular. Um, the views are really amazing. It just
Well,
really
that's
is.
awesome.
It's great.
That is awesome. But with that, we have some notable passings. We have a lot this week. So do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll start it off because there's certainly some notables here, and again, these are tributes to people that had an impact, either
Right, no
culturally or
question about
whatever.
it.
So Lonnie Anderson, and I know you don't
Yeah,
remember the show, but she became famous from WKRP in Cincinnati, which was a really underrated, outstanding show. And she was 79 years old, and later in life was married to Burt Reynolds at the time of his
yeah,
death. So yeah, she was great in WKRP, and did some other stuff on TV throughout the years, and she was a very um, recognizable personality from television, if you would.
no
So she
question.
passed away. And yeah, this came in yesterday, last night. And Eli, you and I talked about, the movie Apollo 13, which was one of my all-time
It's
favorite
awesome,
movies.
and like we said before, any Tom Hanks movie is fantastic, and there's no
Right.
question about it. But yeah, the commander Jim Lovell has passed away at the age of 97. He was born in 1928,
Yep.
and wow, what a career and what a moment! I mean, it was such
Yep.
a historic time for everybody in the United States during that time, during Apollo 13.
Yep. And Jim Lovell was, a Navy pilot, and then he became an astronaut, and notable, certainly had a great personality as well. And
Right,
but he also commanded, he was on the Apollo 8, and then he was on Apollo 13, of course, and 97. And I've been watching because I'm
was that
very
your time? Not gonna just be. I'm gonna. It was Apollo 13 when were you there for that or no?
absolutely, I was alive, but I mean, it was 1971
Yeah.
that took the nation. I was still a young kid, but it
Do you remember it?
mesmerized the country. And
Do
the
you remember it
famous
from
quote,
that time?
huh?
What did you remember from that time?
I don't really remember it. I do remember the thing I do remember is that people were watching television and literally walking down the street and looking in television stores, and there's nothing but, because this was a dire situation for the space program, and the three astronauts on board, their lives were in jeopardy. And so I was kind of a little bit young when the
Right.
event itself happened, but I do know, the movie, if you have not seen Apollo 13,
Oh, it's such a great
see it.
movie.
And like I
And
said, Jim
anything Tom
Lovell,
Hanks though is fantastic.
right.
So
But Jim Lovell himself was a very interesting person, and, well spoken, and just, beloved in the space program. Big loss for them, 97.
yeah.
And also, I got one other one, Eli, Billy Hauser, who was the oldest living former NFL player at 95 years old. And also, what's notable with him is, he came up with he was drafted by the Green Bay Packers. And this is before the Vince Lombardi Super Bowl team in the
Right.
60s. Obviously, he was 95, but he was also the first president of the NFL Players Association. And that's certainly notable. And, you
No
know,
question.
the NFL wasn't the money making machine when Billy Houghton was playing, and I bet he was amazed at the growth and the
And how it's
mega,
turned out to be.
yeah, the monster that it's turned into be. But Billy Houghton was 95, certainly notable, had a great career with the Packers.
Yeah. I have three other ones, believe it or not.
Wow.
Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband, Brandon Blackstock, has passed away at the age of 48. He was born in
Mhm.
1976 and was a producer and talent manager. Actor John Mahara, who is best known in the sitcom Superstore, has passed away at the age of 83. He was born in 1941.
Mm,
Walking Dead star Kelly Mack has passed away at the age of 33. She was born in 1992.
mm. Well, I can't say I've ever seen Superstore, or what did she do?
Uh, the other one was Walking Dead,
Walking Dead. I never saw that either.
but I heard it's very popular. Walking Dead.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people watched it.
It's
So
like we're watching the shows that aren't as popular, but everybody else is watching the shows that are popular. So we just got to start
I
like
know.
getting into that.
And I'm probably going to guess the majority of our audience never heard of WKRP in Cincinnati that we brought up.
No, and I have not either. I was going like, what is that even a show? Is that just like a news station? Everybody like knows and understand. I never knew.
That's what it was. It was based
Yeah,
on a news station. Yeah, it was great.
but still.
All
Well,
right,
what a
Eli.
great show.
Yep.
And we have a programming alert. Next week will be live at 7 p.m. on Friday next week. So we hope you guys tune in for that Friday, 7 o'clock next week. So
Yep.
hope you join us then.
And I'm glad that, hopefully, this was certainly our early bird special, right? So we're going back, and like Eli said, we're going to be doing a Friday Night Lights show next week at 7. But
That's
of
always a great
course,
show.
we always look forward to hearing your comments and
Absolutely.
the emails we get at sportswithmono@gmail.com. And like I said, we're still working on getting some call-in
Yep,
situations
we're in
set up,
progress with that.
and we're working on that. So, all right, thanks, folks, for joining us very early. Hope everybody has a great weekend.
Yeah.
And Eli, I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
But
Saying
we'll
at
talk
Friday,
before
7
then.
o'clock. So have a great day, everyone, and goodbye.
See you guys. Bye.